So let's talk about T.S. Eliot. You might know him as the poet behind The Wasteland, but he did so much more than just write poems. He basically launched a revolution in how we even think about art. He took aim at this very old, very romantic idea of what it means to be an artist, an idea that, honestly, a lot of us still believe today.
I mean, think about it. When you picture a great artist, what's the first image that pops into your head? Is it someone holed up in some lonely room just pouring their unique personal pain onto the page, right? This idea of this solitary genius, this person driven by pure original emotion, it's everywhere. But T.S. Eliot, he would tell you that idea is completely and fundamentally wrong.
And this really gets to the heart of the whole conflict. On one side, you've got the common view that art is all about being original and expressing personal feelings. But on the other side, you have Eliot's revolution. He talked about a living tradition, about art being an impersonal craft, and about the artist being a kind of medium, not a genius. So let's break down what he actually meant by all that.
Okay, first things first. We have to understand the idea that Eliot was really fighting against. Let's call it the myth of the poet. This image of the totally original, isolated creator.
So Eliot noticed that pretty much everyone, critics, readers, you name it, tended to praise poets for the parts of their work that felt the most different, the most unique. For him, this was a huge mistake. He believed that focusing only on what's new means you're completely missing the point, that every artist is actually part of a much, much bigger conversation.
And, Eliot himself put it best with this crucial line right here. No poet, no artist of any art has his complete meaning alone. What he's saying is that a work of art doesn't just pop into existence in a vacuum. Its real meaning comes from how it relates to all the other art that's ever been made. It's a dialogue, you see, not a monologue.
And that idea leads us straight into one of Eliot's biggest, most game-changing concepts, where he totally redefines the word tradition.
When most of us hear tradition, we think of something kind of dusty, right? Old, restrictive, just blindly copying what people did before. Well, Eliot's idea is the absolute opposite of that. For him, tradition isn't something you just passively inherit. It's something you have to actively earn through what he called great labor. And that means you have to seriously study and engage with the art that came before you.
So, how do you earn this tradition? Well, according to Eliot, an artist needs a very special skill, the historical sense. And listen, this isn't just about knowing names and dates from a history book. It's a much deeper awareness that the past isn't really past at all. It's alive. It's right here with us, in the present, and it's shaping everything we do and create right now. This quote really captures the paradox at the heart of his idea. The true artist has to feel the works of, say, Homer or Shakespeare, not as old artifacts in a museum, but as living, breathing forces in the room with them today. They have to see the timeless and the timely, all at the same time.
And this is where the idea gets really mind-bending. For Eliot, this relationship is a two-way street. Of course, the past influences a new piece of art. We all get that. But, and get this, every truly new work of art actually changes our understanding of the past. When a groundbreaking new poem comes along, it shifts the entire existing order of literature just a little bit. The way we see Shakespeare today is different because of all the art that has come after him. It's a living, dynamic system.
Okay, this brings us to Eliot's most radical and maybe his most challenging idea of all, the theory of impersonality. The idea that the poet's job isn't to be a star, but to be a catalyst.
This is easily one of the most famous statements in modern literary criticism, and it's a direct assault on that romantic ideal. I mean, an escape from emotion? An escape from personality? That sounds like the exact opposite of what we think an artist is supposed to do, right? But for Eliot, this escape was the entire point of making art.
So how does that even work? Well, Eliot explained it with this brilliant analogy from chemistry. Let's walk through it. Okay, step 1, you've got your inputs, raw materials like emotions and feelings. Step 2, the poet's mind comes in, but it only acts as a medium, a catalyst, as he puts it, like a shred of platinum. Step 3, that mind just facilitates a chemical reaction, a total transformation. And finally, step 4, you get the output, the poem, a brand new artistic thing. But here's the crucial part. The catalyst, the poet's own mind and personality, isn't part of the final product. The poem is totally separate from the poet.
And this quote just nails the whole concept down. For Eliot, becoming a mature artist isn't about feeling things more deeply. It's about creating a perfect separation between your personal life, what he calls the man who suffers, and your creative process, the mind which creates. Your art is not your diary.
Now, as you can probably imagine, ideas this big didn't just change how poetry was written. No, they completely rewrote the rule book for how we even talk about literature. This follows logically, right? If the poem is an escape from personality, then good criticism shouldn't waste any time on the poet's biography. We shouldn't care what the author intended or what was happening in their life or how they were feeling. The only thing that matters is the work itself, just the words on the page.
And this had a massive, massive impact. Seriously, if you've ever been in an English class where the teacher told you to analyze the form, the language, the symbols in a poem, and not to worry about the author's life, yep, you are seeing T.S. Eliot's legacy in action. He paved the way for what became known as New Criticism, and the whole practice of close reading, treating the text like a self-contained object.
But, and this is a really important but, just because Eliot's ideas were hugely influential doesn't mean everyone agrees with them. Far from it. His legacy is incredibly complicated, and it's been challenged pretty fiercely over the years.
For one thing, critics argue that Eliot's idea of tradition is actually incredibly narrow. It really just focuses on a specific canon of white European men, which can feel pretty elitist and exclusionary. And then there's this theory of impersonality. A lot of people have pushed back on that, saying it totally undervalues the importance of an artist's lived experience, which is an especially powerful criticism when you think about writers from marginalized backgrounds, whose personal identity is often central to their work.
And all this leaves us with a huge, fundamental question that feels more relevant today than ever. Should an artist's identity, their personal story, their lived experience, shape how we see and interpret their art? A century ago, T.S. Eliot gave a very clear and forceful no. But today, that debate is very much alive and kicking. So, what do you think?